we're not selling a toaster, we're selling an experience. It's a work of art. And we designed it because we wanted to, own the counter. There are only, 5 appliance categories that get to sit on the counter.
All right, folks. Hey, thanks for joining us today. I have a really special guest. I want to introduce Tom Klaff, who's CEO of Revolution Cooking. Tom, we met before you started this when you were helping some traditional firms respond to Uber and try to think in corporate innovation. Of all the people I know, you've covered this huge spectrum of what innovation means, different stages of companies and industries. Would you just take a minute to introduce yourself and then kind of get into how did you get into this kind of work?
I would describe myself as a disruptor. That's really, that's who I am. I've always been that kind of person who thinks a little bit differently, challenges the status quo. And I've been that way as an entrepreneur ever since college. Mostly it's been in the software space. So my model has always been identify, a large industry, little to no innovation, identify a problem I can solve with unique technology that delivers a different experience, a better experience, with a better ROI, with a better economics, and and find riches in niches. That's really sort of how it's been. And I didn't grow up in any particular industry. I think my expertise has been horizontal. It's just been I guess my expertise is just being a disruptor. But I've been in the healthcare world. I've been in higher ed. I've been in cybersecurity. I've been in automotive. I've been in IT. And multimedia. And now I'm in toasters and ovens. This is a unique opportunity for me because it's not so much software, but it does check a lot of the boxes. It's small kitchen appliance industry. It's a $70 billion industry. It's been around, since the Stone Age, and a lot of the core products you see on the kitchen counters today, really don't have a lot of innovation. Innovation really has been on, the industrial design and the colors and the knobs and the levers, but nothing around the performance. For us, it's how do toasters cook better or toast faster? How do ovens cook better? How do they cook faster, more evenly? That core technology hasn't changed since the 19th century. And that's where I saw the opportunity and decided to take what I've learned in other industries, being a disruptor, and have elected to come into this industry.
So when you look at this kind of industry where it's been on such a status quo plateau for so long, and folks really make it kind of a marketing play, and you're really looking at the innards of the components and supply chain, how did all that factor into how you guys, figured out what kind of team you need?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I didn't know anything about cooking when I started this, at all. But you find my MO in other companies I've started, I find the subject matter experts, the people who know where the bodies are buried in the industry, can identify problems, talent, innovation. And so I spent my time building my team, and it's not so much a team that I hire, but it's a team of advisors. It's getting literate about the market. And then, getting introductions into key talent. And it was through that, that team building exercise that I found an innovation partner for me, a foil that could help me disrupt this industry. So that's really, how it went.
And in terms of, I guess, like just for folks that don't know, in terms of the toaster itself, there's a lot of innovation that, we've talked about, we've shared with the actual hardware components themselves. Can you talk a little bit about that and kind of how that played into, how do you take something that's novel and innovative and then scale that up?
Yeah, so my company's called Revolution Cooking, and we've identified a culprit, that is in every toaster and every oven. It's really what's called a cow rod. It's just nichrome wire that is thick metal that takes a long time to heat up, and from looking at that as being in every single kitchen appliance that cooks, There are 1.5 billion kitchens in the world that use this technology. And so coming out of the software industry, I've always, aspired to build standards and kind of become a standard. And so I look at this cow rod technology as a standard. And if we can develop something that performs better, cooks faster, is safer, consumes less energy, delivers a better experience, then we have a shot at becoming a standard too. So from a hardware standpoint, it's a lot different than any of the software ventures I've been in, because you really have to pay attention to the physical cost of goods sold, and sourcing, and also where you get your source material from, and the expertise on how you can manufacture it. So the supply chain is really a key thing in durable goods. You don't have that issue with software, at least not now. I mean, there are no jewel cases that you have to crank out anymore.
Well, so, and I think about, like, again, building an MVP or a prototype, when you're talking about having to commit to an industrial design and a production run cycle, what does it mean for you guys to, how do you get the level of confidence you need that you have the right form factor, that, you know what I mean, these kind of components that have such a longer cycle time?
Well, for us, I mean, we've got to get UL certification, to get onto any retail shelf. So it's got to pass a cycle time, life expectancy, rigorous testing, drop testing, things like that. So the way we look at engineering all the components, it's got to withstand and surpass these certifications. That's one hurdle. Then you have to, engineer it so that it's valued engineered, so you can, so you can reduce that cost and understand the economics on scale, and make sure that you can actually deliver on the cost. So, there's a value associated with it, but you can't charge more than the value. So you have to understand that. But building this toaster, which is really it's really an electronic system, a computerized electronic system that has our heating system, adds orders of magnitude of complexity, because we wanted to deliver a very cool experience. It does require electronics. It does require chips. It does require boards. It does require a manufacturer that is more sophisticated than a metal bending shop.
Mhm.
So there's an order of magnitude of complexity around how we built this thing, versus anything in the market today, that is more mechanical, for instance. And that, as in the world we're in, the cost of electronics, the supply, all of that has been impacting us. So it forces us to, again, go back to the drawing board, value engineer, get less expensive chips, less expensive touchscreens, less expensive electronics, so that we can, whittle down that cost of goods and improve our margins.
Where is your team centrally located? Are you guys distributed? You multi-geography, multi-time zone?
Yeah, we're all over the place. We're essentially virtual. I mean, our engineering team's in Boston. I'm in DC. My head of finance is here in DC. I got ops team in Chicago, marketing guys in Boston. And we've got a team in China. So we're sort of as a durable company, it's actually it's a disadvantage being virtual, in my opinion, but we make it work. I made the just the decision to just get the best available athletes.
I think about, you guys went viral on TikTok with the video, and I see, and some of the folks we're talking to, a lot of this direct to consumer, and launching a new consumer product and building those networks and channels, and then also trying to balance that with something disruptive to those channels with direct to consumer. How has that affected your guys' planning and your go-to-market strategy?
Well, we elected not to do a D2C solo play. We were omni-channel, and I think that was a smart move, because even though we launched with Williams-Sonoma as an example, and Williams-Sonoma claws significant margin from all of its vendors, but they're one of the best marketers in the world, and they provide such a halo effect for brands in the industry. It's a good housekeeping seal of approval, and they have a tribe of just devout customers that would take us forever to find, and we would spend a ton of money trying to get there. I can't name many D2C brands that are making money. I mean, the enormous cost of doing this solely to build brand relevance, and then to get people to come to your website, and then to convert them, is an enormously expensive offer. So we elected to build our brand first with retailers. We were willing to give up margin for that. It also, we reduce some of our risk by doing it, but we also extend our reach, and we get much better brand relevance acceleration than if we were to do it on our own.
What in your mind is kind of different when you're trying to do a higher end product brand position? And innovation is part of that, value premium, right? How have you guys, like, what does that mean practically on the ground for you guys? How do you determine what features really speak to the premium value offering?
No, it's a good question, because I think you have to look at the overall experience. So we're not selling a toaster, we're selling an experience.
Mm-hmm.
There's aspirational value in having our product on your kitchen counter. A lot of our customers love to show it off because it looks great. It's a work of art, and we designed it because we wanted to own the counter. There are only 5 appliance categories that get to sit on the counter. Toasters aren't really one of them. We developed a nice clock interface so that people would look at this as a kitchen clock when it's not on. So that keeps us on the counter. So there are things that we learned about delivering fun and delivering aspirational value. That the whole touchscreen experience about looking like an iPhone, and the image graphics that are popping, the ability to predict or show you how your toast is going to look when it's done. Is all part of the experience. The auto lift and of the toast coming up and going down, that's all part of the experience. The happy chime at the end, all part of the experience. So we hear that from time to time, why consumers love us. Some love it for the performance, some love it for the look, some love it because it delivers great tasting toast. So we try to capture all of that in our branding and our messaging going forward, and it's reflective in our price. We rather sell to the premium market because it is sort of guarded by inflation. There's a book that I read, 113 Million Markets of One, which is a great book. It's our Bible. There are 46% of the U.S. is our total addressable market. These are consumers who just love aspirational products. They're not price sensitive. They're experience driven. They are all about storytelling. They love being part of a tribe and appreciate status. It's not really broken down by household income. It's around attitude, and we're trying to market to those folks. The other 54%, we'll never get, and we don't have to get. Because for us, it's a $300 toaster. Average toaster price is around $30. And this is our message to retailers. You sell one of ours, it's like selling 10 of the incumbent toasters. So you make more money by selling ours.
Yeah, it reminds me of conversations I was having like 6 or 7 years ago with some big quick service food folks that were trying to get into mobile ordering, and they were talking about demographic marketing, 18 to 25-year-old males, as opposed to per consumer, per transaction intelligence. Who eats lunch here every day? Who could eat breakfast? Who likes hamburgers? And I think it ties into these other concepts around loyalty and rewards programs, where folks are just kind of giving loyalty and rewards to folks that are already loyal, who are going to eat there every day as part of a routine. So when you think about getting this customer feedback loop, representing the voice of this customer, understanding what kind of systems, or how do you look to kind of have a feedback mechanism, to get intel and insights on how your product is meeting, what you guys are kind of putting out there as the needs of the consumers that you're targeting?
Well, right now, so I'm not sure if this is going to be this way all the time, but I hope it does. I reach out to 20 customers a week, to have conversations. I send out thank you notes to pretty much, to not everyone, but most people who buy off our site. Get a thank you note from me, which creates a conversation. It's probably the best thing I do. I enjoy hearing from consumers. We do a pulse survey every quarter. That's really how we get our NPS scores.
Mhm.
But I discount that a little bit because these pulse surveys, you know, people have the toaster for 45 days and, they respond. I like to talk to people, weeks after they get it. I want to understand the unboxing experience. I want to understand, how they consume, in the home. What are their what family members like about it? I mean, things like that. So there's nothing better than having real primary conversations with consumers. We get a lot of feedback from the retailers too. I mean, they're on the floor. If we're in store, they talk to consumers and they can tell us stuff about what's going on with consumers and what they think about the product. So for me, it's about getting as much primary data as possible.
And I know, I mean, that the toaster has an app. Is that app internet connected? Is there the opportunity to get, kind of passive data on what's going on with the app? And just curious on how you kind of think about that and balance that with potential, concerns around privacy and
Yeah.
my toaster watching me kind
Well,
of.
we wanted to connect the toaster when we launched, but UL prevented us from doing it because it's an open heating system.
Hmm.
So they were fearful that, if there was an app or if somebody were to control the toaster from upstairs and a toddler was crawling on the kitchen counter and put his hand in the toaster, that would be a problem. That being said, I mean, we are looking at ways in which we can connect the toaster around how this thing operates so that we can literally do, over the air updates and things like that, improve the experience and create more of an evergreen product for our customers. There's a trove of data we can collect on it. We haven't, made it actionable because it's not a connected system, but certainly that's the direction we're going as we respect privacy. There's no question we have to respect privacy.
So maybe just shift over to just some of the mechanics of in thinking about, when I talk to a lot of teams that are running kind of multifaceted products, and you could have a hardware product owner and the software layer. How is your team set up to manage the product lifecycle and all these varying components of the toaster platform?
Yeah, so I've got an engineering team, and it's part R&D because we're pushing the envelope on the heating system, and it's also part engineering design of our appliances. That's here in the U.S. I have a team, we're in China, that's a design for manufacturing team, so they work hand in hand in terms of making sure that this engineering design can be manufactured in the factory at the right cost point with the best quality assurance. We engineer all the software internally. It's part of our secret sauce. We don't advertise our algorithms and how it works. We don't advertise how the machine control system works. It's all driven off of the software. It's not even part of our patent, so we leave that off. So it's a very tight knit, very controlled environment that very few people understand in our company.
How are you looking at the incumbents and your position to disrupt them and their ability to kind of hold ground or to try to match the pace of innovation that you guys are doing?
It's a great question because when we started this without really wanting to be in the appliance industry. We were looking to license the core technology, and we met with a lot of the incumbents and got to know them. I mean, I think that one of the things that we walked away from, like they're slow to innovate. They're skeptical of, they don't know what to do with technology in and of itself. I mean, unless it's an end product that, that's a full appliance, they really don't know what to do with it. Then it's, if it is core technology, then it means it's going to take years for them to kind of kick the tires and figure out how to put it into a product. So from a licensing standpoint, it's a very challenging environment for anybody trying to break in with new technology in the industry. So, we Dyson, the vacuum cleaning company, tried to do the same thing. They, when he invented the Cyclone motor, James Dyson tried to license it to Black & Decker. And, they didn't know what to do with it. And in fact, it really didn't go well. I mean, from a legal standpoint, and they were going to sit on it, not do anything with it. So Dyson said, look, I'm going to get into the vacuum business to get my core technology into the market. and it's going to be cheaper to do it that way. You'll make more money on a unit basis than it will be to sit back and wait for somebody to take your idea or your innovation into market. So I think from the incumbent standpoint, what I learned is that, look, they have decades of brand relevance, and it's really hard to compete dollar for dollar with them. The playing field is not level, and if you don't build something that's completely unique and remarkable, you're going to get crushed. That being said, the novel of our technology, of our products, really are the core technology, and part of our thinking is, there are certain aspects of the segment we want to own with our brand, with our products. There are other categories and segments that we'll never get into in a million years, and it might make sense to work with some of these incumbents and see if we can go to market together with them on different products. That's really sort of the strategy that we're laying out going forward. We just can't afford to develop and launch every one of our own products under our brand. It's really expensive.
Well, and I kind of feel like the more I learn about the automotive industry, where you see these collaborations where they'll get an engine from Mercedes or BMW, folks are swapping each other's parts in and doing this kind of, working with the competitors, but understanding where your value prop is and where your brand lines, kind of are clear on each side. So I guess, Tom, again, when I look at some of these big companies that have all these entrenched assets and long, kind of running household known brands, the challenge is always the organizational inertia to get those things to work together. They have all the assets, but they got to get 40 approvals, to move an inch to move forward. And so, having come out of that world, and now you're on the other side of the VC oriented, we got to build the whole thing from scratch. What were the things that, what are the biggest differences in those two, having had both of those experiences? How did the one experience, does it pay any dividends when you come to this side? Or, what are the things you feel like are the biggest lessons learned?
It's funny that like when I was in that venture working on, with this major transportation company who wanted to compete with Uber, I mean, we built business models, we built, product concepts, but there was this, you call it inertia. I call it a culture of fear. And when you have inertia, you don't want to do things differently. You always think that the cow is always going to have the milk, and you just keep on doing what you're doing. This is what we do. I mean, Blockbuster, could have come out with Netflix, but they were in the real estate business, and that's what they do. Well, there were a cadre of folks inside of Blockbuster who said, no, we've got to change. But no, I mean, when you're a publicly traded company and you have your quarter to quarter, you don't want to give up that revenue and obsolesce your own, revenue stream.
Right.
So they let Netflix come in and do it for them. So a lot of big companies are like that, and in this, for us, it's about speed, agility. It's about taking risks, failing a lot, and not fearing failure. Because we if you swing hard, you're going to hit something, but you got to swing a lot. And I think that in the corporate side, these larger companies, they study everything to the point of risk aversion.
Yeah.
And so they won't really take the big risks unless they study it out. And the enemy is time. So you could have a great analysis of a great opportunity that 10 other companies are already doing. Because you took the time to take all of that studying before you pulled one trigger.
Yeah. And so what does that tactically mean for you guys? I think about things like OKR process. I think about, are you just fast for you guys in terms of these experiments? Is that something you think about monthly, quarterly? Like, what is the cadence for what does institutionalized experimentation and knowing how to cost box or time box these things? What does that practically mean on the ground?
Yeah, I wish it was, it wasn't sloppy. I mean, it's sloppy. I mean,
Sure.
we test and learn a lot. It's just having a mindset. There's a process around it, but I don't want to get too procedural.
Sure.
For us, it's we have an idea. We take a little bit of time to analyze it. Will it work? Let's test it. Let's, and then did it work? We've institutionalized that across the board. We actually reward people for failing. We create teams. It's like Shark Tank. We create teams across the board in our company. Anybody who's got good ideas, there's a process around how to vet them. Then we test them, and then if it's a good idea, there's a point system, and then we reward people around this.
When you think about giving advice to other folks that are looking to launch new ventures to disrupt some of these 100-year-old brands with some innovative thinking and approaches, what comes to mind? What are the things that you feel like folks should know going in?
Well, I mean, you have to have a fierce constitution. I mean, just having conviction. It's important that you have good backers. And I'm not talking about a ton of money, but people who believe in you and believe in the vision. It's important that you have people who can execute. But I think that, most importantly, Pat, it's not getting into the trap of doing normal things. I mean, you can't do normal things. I mean, normal things deliver normal results. You've got to do bold things and be willing to assume risk to make it happen. Because I think, to battle an incumbent, who's got years, who's got cash, brand relevance, tribes, they're not going to take notice unless you do something that's absolutely remarkable. And if you can't do something that's absolutely remarkable, then I wouldn't even try.
Yeah, it's so many of these things that you just can't teach a lot of that in a class on entrepreneurship, right? There is kind of a mindset that seems to be critical, and having that really shared across your team really creates that wolf pack mentality. You need to go out and make a difference.
Yeah, and there's one other thing that it's important to understand from this is sort of where my head's at. It's it's around how you think about your business. To me, it's about what are the key drivers that build enterprise value. And it's not necessarily growth. It's for us, it's can we prove we're a platform technology? Can we prove we can be an EBITDA positive company? Can we prove that our gross margins are above industry rate? Can we prove that we've got can we prove we have a moat around our business with IP? So I think that it's understanding what really matters, and that's really building enterprise value.
Yeah. Listen, I think that's a great place to kind of conclude this first conversation, Tom. And I really thank you for all these kind of insights and sharing your experience. For folks that are interested, it's revcook.com, right?
Yep, RevCook.
And go check it out. Go check it out on TikTok. There's some great videos out there too.